Here on the ATTV Tea Time podcast is one half of STAR.ONE, a producer duo that started music together in 2011. They can be defined by their use of garage, Afrobeats, dancehall, grime, you name it, house, drum and bass, D&B, everything. They've done it. They've also worked with some of the biggest artists, from DWE to Getz to Ed Sheeran to Bugsy Malone to Craig David as well. And most recently have released a song that I think they were working on for about 4 years. But we'll get into that. So welcome, Adam.
Yo.
Welcome.
The intro.
Oh, thank you. I did my research.
I can see.
So you started music.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the relationship actually between you and your brother, because you started music in 2011.
But we didn't do it a lot before that.
Okay.
That was like the official. No, that was the time. 2011 was Christmas. I emailed him.
You emailed your brother?
Yeah, because I didn't even say, I couldn't say it for some reason. But I was like, do you want to do something together? Because the thing is, I always been DJing, he'd been producing, he'd been rapping. So we'd already been like doing stuff. But this was like, I was like, can we do something together, you and me?
Oh, wow. Okay, so talk to me about the relationship before you actually started music
We
properly.
Just know each other, that's it. We don't talk.
You don't
I'm
talk?
joking.
What's the age difference?
3.5 years. He's a little bit older, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So but yeah. So he'd been rapping and all that stuff, and I've been DJing. But it was like basically it was like a light bulb moment. I kind of finished uni, and it was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, okay, I want to be a DJ, but I'll clock in that to DJ you got to produce, because most of the people who get in the big money bookings and are producers. But I didn't know how to produce, but Joe did. So I was like, can we do this together? So that's how it started. It started as me as a DJ, him producing, and then the roles just kind of like just merged over the
Just merged together. So
decade.
did you kind of teach him how to DJ and he teach you how to produce? Did you kind of share knowledge?
Well, yes and no, but he'll tell you if he was here that he taught me how to DJ, which is semi-true, because he did have decks before me.
Okay.
So he had the decks, but he didn't let me use them.
Really?
So I used to sneak up into his room, and he'd have like a vinyl on and like a certain position, and I'd like memorize where the position was. Then I'd do a set while he was away.
Oh my
and put
goodness.
it back on the same position, so you never know.
That is a very typical brother relationship, isn't it? Using
so
each
yeah,
other.
but then after that, yeah, he definitely taught me basically everything I know about production.
Amazing. So you sent the email,
Yeah.
and then was he like, "Yep, let's really"?
Yeah. I don't know why I was nervous to ask him. I don't know. Now it feels stupid, but at that point it felt like I was like, I'm just gonna email him instead of like calling him.
Amazing. So what was one of the first things you made together? I really.
The first thing we ever made together was I don't even know if I want to say this. It was a remix. Do you remember a cartoon or animation called Rasta Mouse?
Yes. Yes.
It was a remix, a drum-based remix of the Rasta Mouse theme tune,
Oh my goodness.
and it got played on Radio 1. And
What?
then the second thing we made was a remix of Jamie Woon, Lady Luck. Great track, by the way. Anyway, so we did those two. The first thing we ever did got played on Radio 1, and like got like, I don't know, maybe like 200,000 views on YouTube. The second one we did, Jamie Woon remix, it just like took off in Ibiza, had like 500,000 views on YouTube. So at this point, we thought music was easy. I was like, well, first two tracks nearly got 1 million views combined, and like, then we started putting out solo music, and it got a lot harder.
Oh,
But
really?
those are the first two things that we did.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so I'm interested that remix started popping off more than it's harder because they've got the names attached to it, I guess. So is that what makes it easier?
Yeah, and it's weird now because it's like kind of like a full circle thing, because it's like we're doing the same thing just now on TikTok with remixes that we were doing 12 years ago. So yeah, I think because obviously the Rasta Mouse thing, everyone knew it, but because it was drum and bass, it was funny. Like, it was just like that's jokes. And I think when you remixing stuff, obviously you're just like taking something, everything's an idea or something else you're stealing, but because you already know that you're putting your style on it, it's easier to get views. So I still find out with TikTok now, sometimes I put out solo music and no one cares. As soon as I start flipping big tracks that people are like, oh we know that, they're like, oh yeah, I want to hear what you've done with that.
Yeah. So, or I want to hear the full version sort of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
So obviously putting out music is hard as much as it is. But also, I guess, working in the music industry and dealing with the music industry can be very difficult. How is that working with your brother? Do you feel like you've got somebody that's kind of got your back? Is it quite a nicer experience of work?
Yeah, I mean, my motto in general is like, love music, hate the industry. Like, fuck the industry, man. It's a horrible place, and it's just like if it should just be demolished and rebuilt from scratch, I feel. But yeah, and then the third we're STAR.ONE officially, and the dot is my manager. So he is in the music industry. He's an A&R at 0207 Def Jam, and he's just like basically when I finished, I went to uni with him. So when we both finished uni, he was like, "Oh, I want to be a manager, so why don't I manage you?" So he was managing me before even STAR.ONE was invented, because when we got my brother involved. So seeing his rise through the music industry, because he was started kind of nowhere, did like 20 internships and worked at every label, jumping, different management people. So it's always been good to have him as like the connection in the industry world, so that we don't have to deal with that. But then obviously with me and my brother, it's just like we're only going to do what's good for us, and obviously we will argue because we argue. If it wasn't about music, it'd be about something else. So we do argue, but with that, between that three, we know that we've got each other's back, and it's not, because sometimes when you get a manager, they're not going to work for you unless you're making the money or whatever it is. But like say our manager, it's more of a thing where it's just like, we're going to do this to the end. It doesn't really matter. Like, do you know what I mean? The ups and downs are going to come. So it's just what it is.
And he's still your manager now?
Yeah.
And now he works for Def Jam? Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, so that's like full circle moment.
It'd be good to get him on a podcast at some point, because in a way, his success is kind of also tied to STAR.ONE, because he was pushing STAR.ONE so much back like 6-7 years ago that I think people were just like, this guy is non-stop. So if we give
he's like your stage mum.
Yeah. So I think they were like, if we give him an act who's not actually popping, then because he was managing other acts, he became another manager and started managing other people like DJ Spoonie, who does this thing called Garage Classical, and now's on Radio 2. So he was his manager for a while. So I think because he was banging so hard about STAR.ONE, they're like, well, they're not popping yet, but you're banging it so hard that if you do that, we can give you to other people and you'll make it work. So the success is kind of like tied together in a way.
Yeah.
So we used to do mad things. We used to like run up in his building because he had like a U Music email, get the whole database and just send our music to everyone on that U Music database. And stuff like this. We just used to do funny stuff like that.
So have you ever been signed?
Yeah,
STAR.ONE?
3 times.
3 times?
Yeah, I can tell you all about record deal.
Yeah, tell me about this.
So I had first one, 2015, and it was to RCA. We got signed for a 1-track deal. I don't even think we got any money. What we got was like money to market the track, so pretty shit deal, to be honest. So, but it was cool. It was a drum and bass track. We'd written it with a guy called Takura, who I met at Visions. Visions is like was the clubbing spot for like 3 years, where everyone used to get together. And there was a guy called Takura, who's a songwriter, and he was like, "I can give you a hit." I was like, oh, "Okay, thanks." And he wrote this track. It was amazing, and it had like a space. And then we went and got a guy called Assassin, Agent Sasco from Jamaica on it, and that's basically what the money from the label went to. And then we put it out independently first, and it got onto 1Xtra and all this stuff. And so the guy was like, "Yeah, let's just sign it."
Oh, wow.
But then that A&R got fired. So after that track, we did quite well. You're left signed to a label with no one to like anchor it. So the other people were like, we don't know who STAR.ONE are. He did, but he's not a label anymore. So we left that deal.
Wow.
And then we got signed to another label called Freebeat, which are a great label. And, they signed like, I think they're like probably, I love how they signed like Skepta, That's Not Me. They had Skepta up until that point where he kind of blew.
Okay.
So, and then did like 2 or 3 tracks with them, and it didn't quite work, but I loved them. I loved their vision. And then most recently we signed to Positiva, which is like a dance label of Virgin EMI. We put out 2 or 3 tracks, but it didn't quite work.
No.
But even like now, like, especially got 4 deals. We track out now with Bugsy and Blinky. That signed with like Sony, but that's like a one-off. That's not really like us being signed.
No.
So yeah, but we do independent, and I would never like fuck the labels. They're there for a reason, and some artists need them. But what I managed to do over 10, 12 years is like learn what they do, and like sometimes just do that myself.
I was gonna say, what is like for you personally? Yeah. Do you find being independent is just easier for you than doing these one-off sign tracks? Yes and no.
I mean, what they're gonna. Because, so I'm going to go back a bit, because I was like, okay, I want to be a DJ. Okay, I got to learn how to produce. And then obviously you're a producer and now you're an artist and all these things, you pop in. But then I'm like, okay, yeah, but to be successful, you need to be like on social media and doing things. I don't do social media. It's not really, like, you're amazing at it. Like, you are literally probably the most entertaining social media person I have. I have, right? So it comes natural.
It's because you're on Close Friends.
Yeah, it's natural to you, right? It's not, none of social media comes natural to me. So I had to learn it, and I had to like create this like persona or whatever it is and do all these things. Okay. But then now, all labels are doing now is like, oh, I'll market a track, go on TikTok. Like, so you're kind of doing their job for them in a way in terms of like marketing. So, but they do have money. Labels have money, so they can pump money into, even if that's putting their money on the TikToks or PR. Radio
it's like
events.
Billboards and things like that when you see people's tracks on billboards and stuff.
Like stuff does cost money. Like videos, like even like might cost you 20 grand or whatever. Like as an independent one, you put tracks out, but you've got to be very smart with your money and how you're going to use it. Whereas labels just be like, okay, we've got a 50 grand marketing budget, whatever it is, go.
Yeah.
And just throw it out. So you've got a bigger chance of success. And you have one person who's working your streaming side and all this stuff. But then there's distributors.
Yeah.
So like Ditto and Orchard and all these places, which kind of basically act like labels now and can give you some of those label services, but without that complete major influx of money. So it's completely different to different artists. So us personally, because we're like a producer, we sometimes live and die from our features. So say if I need to get Bugsy Malone on a track or whatever, their feature fees are high. So I can't pay that all myself.
Yeah.
You need a label sometimes.
Right.
But if you have a track that's just popping off and it's just STAR.ONE, I now probably know how to market it where I can maybe do it independently. So it's like, I'm never like, stay independent, fuck with labels. But I'm not like a big fan of labels either. I just think everyone has their time and place. But like the whole system of like, oh, we're going to just take 80% of all your work and keep that, I think that's wrong. I think it should be a fairer split. But
yeah, because I was watching something not long ago with Ray, and she was talking about songwriting, and basically she said with the songwriting that the songwriters actually don't get paid anything.
I think
to an extent,
I think the songwriters are the most fucked over people in the music industry. Personally,
I can't believe that. I'm shocked.
I think maybe it's the same clip when she's talking about like I've been in a room with people who've written Billboard top 10 hits and can't pay their rent.
Yes,
it's mad because so for producers, say a track gets made, right? As a producer, I'm gonna say there's an artist, a producer, and a songwriter in a room, right? So, and you have one day and you make an amazing track. Then the label's like, okay, we want to pick this up. So, but the first thing that's going to happen is the artist is going to get paid out their advance or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they get their money. Producer, we're going to be like, okay, what's your producer fee? You're going to get your money. The songwriter's getting, there's nothing. There's none of that.
There's nothing left.
There's nothing. There's not even nothing left. It's just like the protocol of how music works is, okay, artist gets paid in advance. Producer gets paid his producer fee. There's nothing for a songwriter. So the songwriter only gets paid if that track gets released, which might take 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then the publishing starts paying out. It gets played on radio. Then that takes about another 6 months from PRS to filter through. So you could be waiting for years. I can't remember the artist, but he said he wrote. I think it's that guy who had that massive hit. The name will come to me. And he's like, oh, I wrote this track for Usher, and 2 years on, I was like, oh, well, I've written a track for Usher. I've made it. And then 2 years on, I made like $7,000. And I was like, well, I was doing it myself. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not two years, $7,000 for one of the biggest artists in the world. It's not making sense. So, songwriters, normally they get a publishing deal and then they get like here's $100,000. That's meant to last you like 5 years. It's not, and then you get a cut. So you can get that investment. But it's songwriters, I think, are the most fucked over people in the music industry.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So in terms of DJing, producing, and you being like, okay, I need to be a producer. What is the connection there? What is the difference? Obviously I know, but just for people that are listening, what is the difference?
Okay, so a producer is a person who any music you hear makes the tracks, makes the beats. So you're a singer, you've got like a nice melody, la 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 la. I'm putting the beats behind that, and as a producer, that's what you're doing. You know, you're adding the drums, you're adding the melodies, or you're working with a team to do that. See, personally, I don't play any instruments, so I might get a team of like Jay, put some keys on this, but I'm still the producer because I'm still like controlling it.
Yeah.
That's what a producer does. They make the tracks. The DJs just play music. That's all you do. So it's a skill, but it's like I wouldn't say less of a skill. That's a bit of a part of DJ.
So I guess
DJ is hard.
You can produce and then DJ your own productions.
Well, that's what I mean. That's where the merge comes now, and people don't understand, because the biggest DJs in the world are the biggest producers in the world now. Your David Guetta's, your Tiestos, your James Hypes, all those kind of people. So it becomes a merge. So it's very hard now. It's very rare, actually, in fact, for... That's why I always say the best DJs aren't actually the biggest DJs. It's a weird thing. With most times, if you're like, if you have a skill and you work that, you can work your way up and be the biggest. In DJing, it's not like that, because you could be the best DJ. You know, scratch, you mix impeccably. You know, your music knowledge is so broad. You can take out tracks from everywhere, but it doesn't matter. You're still going to be stuck on this like £200, £300 limit to your bookings. Whereas the people who but if you produce one track and everyone knows that track and they come to see you for that track,
oh, of course,
then you're gonna get the money in. So you know what I mean? But it's hard to build like a big following. There's some people who've done like people who have blown up from like boiler room, say like Jotty, for example.
Yeah,
she blows up, has a boiler room moment, and she can go and make a career of that and compete on that level. But mainly, it's just if you look at like the top DJs in the world, you might have a Carl Cox in there or something, but it's producers. So that's where the merge, where people don't understand it, comes from, because they think it's the same thing. But DJs play music, producers make music.
I like that. I like that. So with your kit, what was your first ever piece of kit?
My first ever piece of kit was 2 Stanton vinyl turntables.
Vinyl, you know?
Yeah. I'm old.
I'm old school.
I'm old. Like, so yeah, vinyl. So I used to mix. So in fact, like the difference, the evolution of DJing that I've seen in my lifetime is actually insane. So my first gigs, I used to have to like have this huge bag of vinyl and carry it through, and like, you know, not break your back, but actually let me go back, because my dad was DJing. He used to take his whole sound system.
So like, even the speakers.
Yeah, like in a van. So to go to a party, you got to have a van. You got to take everything up. You got to set up, like, to have all your records. It's a lot. So fast forward to where I come in, like, I have a big bag of vinyl. I take them. I might have to take the decks, or I might have decks there. Cool, you play them, and then it goes to CDs. So then you just have to like have a big bag of CDs, and you have to burn all the CDs all the time. You have to burn 2, then make sure you've got all the CDs. Then it just came laptop. Okay, just turn my laptop bag, all in. And then now it's just, I've got my DJ stuff from me in my pocket right now because it's USB.
Wow.
So it's like that change in my lifetime, and I'm not that old, is like, it's kind of crazy. So that was my first one, and now it's just you roll in the USB and you're good.
Well, I was gonna say, what is your? Could you still like do vinyl if you?
It would take me a little bit of. It's been a few years, but yeah, that's what I learned.
Yeah.
So, and I think that grounding of it is where it was, because obviously now, DJing is, with the technology, DJing is quite easy. I always say to anyone, I can teach anyone to DJ. It's like driving a car. Like, you might not get it at the start, but you're gonna get it.
There is quite an influx of DJs in London.
Loads.
Like,
Too many.
I've noticed as well. Like, I don't know if you tell me if this is right statement, but you know, I have people and friends that are DJs, and they say, like, you know, they're getting less for their bookings.
Oh yeah.
Because the market is so oversaturated.
So oversaturated.
But is it because, you know, part of me was like, I thought about it once and I was like, oh God, it just seems a bit hard. But actually, it can't be that hard if everyone and their mum is doing it.
It's not that, like, yeah. So
it's hard to be a good one, maybe, because I think what separates people as well, like you said, is your wealth of music knowledge. Like, if you're just remixing the typical, but if you go and see a DJ that's remixing things of where you used to hear it in your mum's kitchen when you were like 8, you're like, oh my goodness, nostalgia or something like that.
So this is the thing with DJing. So it's one that the technology has become so good that it kind of like basically does it for you. So basically, what used to be really hard about DJing is like beat matching. So like getting one track, you don't know what BPM it is, and having another track and making those two fit. It's like a train, like 2 trains are driving at certain different speeds, and you've got to get them to exactly the same time and going at the same time. You control how fast they're going. I think that analogy makes sense.
Yeah.
But now, with the technology, so that's a skill. That took me months, possibly years to master. With new CD decks, it does it for you. You put a track on, I load up a track, it'll be like, this is 102 BPM. It'll be like, this is 104 BPM. I press a button, and it automatically goes. I just got to press play at the right time, and that's it. It's in. So anyone can do that. I can teach you to do that in 15 minutes. That's one thing. That skill of what was really a skill is not a skill anymore. And then the second thing is like access to music. So the thing of what made DJs, because when I started out, you basically, music wasn't as accessible as it is. So you'd be taping stuff off the radio. You hear a track, you have to tape off the radio, you want to play that again. You'd be making mixtapes. So now we can put it on phone and play any song in the world, right? Or you can download any song in the world. DJs used to have to go to record stores, listen blind to all this new music that's come in, decide, oh, that's good, that will work in the club, that will work, yeah, I think I'm going to try this one. Buy that music for probably one song would cost you about £6, roughly.
Yeah.
£7. A whole album will cost you 15. to the amount of money you're spending. I don't understand how I did it as a teenager because I have a lot of vinyl, and I'm like, that's what. So, but now we could go. Okay, let's spend 1 hour. We're gonna go someone's like playlist, which is probably recorded. It's online somewhere. We can go on Boiler Room. We can download all of those songs. We could recreate that set within an hour and like practice it. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Whereas DJs used to have like you had to be a complete music lover to do it, and now it can be more. You could be like, oh, I've got a bit of like fame or like some kind of clout. I know promoters or whatever it is. Let's cash in.
Yeah.
And that's why you get this influx of like celeb DJs or
whatever. Or influencer DJs. Like DJs. You have people, that was on The Circle or on Love Island that now do DJing.
It's good money. Oh yeah, we'll get $3,000 to come do this little night. Okay, yeah, why not?
For a couple of hours, yeah.
Easy. Or like, yeah, anyone. Like, yeah, I see like this one. I'm like, why are you like? But like I say, yeah, they can do it, and they're not bad. But this issue, there's so many average DJs, especially in London. So many average DJs playing the same set and the same songs and the same okay mixing.
Yeah,
that's where I personally try to like, if you come to one of my sets, hopefully it's like
I've been to one of your sets.
That's good.
Really good. Yeah. So this kind of follows on into my next thing, which is the best way to promote yourself as a DJ. Like you've really racked up the views on TikTok, and everything you're doing on TikTok is so different. So what promoted that? Like, what did you think? Oh, do you know what? I just need to start doing TikTok. Is it just more creative freedom? Like you can release whatever you want.
That is 100% it. I love TikTok. I love it. What an app! Thank God. TikTok has given like our career a second lease of life.
Really?
Because there's I think I started using it in lockdown. And my brother always says this. He's like, oh, it's funny because he's not actually on social media. Doesn't have the apps.
I mean, he's not even here.
He doesn't have the apps.
He does exist, guys. I've met him.
He does exist. He doesn't talk that much, but he actually said he's going to talk more.
Yay!
He came to an interview yesterday. Shut up.
He comes to that one, but not to mine.
He's a personal chat,
Yeah.
I didn't wait. Anyway. What was I say? What's the question? Oh, right. So TikTok. Yeah, I started using it in lockdown. Just jumped on but I was like, okay, what would I want to? Because obviously, when you go on there, or the people just thought back then, it was just like dancing and silly stuff. So I was like, I didn't see that much music stuff happening there. But I was like, so what would I want to see on here? So I started doing like Black music history videos because I had like a conversation where someone didn't know that they call house white music, and I was like, I get why you're saying that, but like it's made by Black people in Chicago. Like it's like I wanted to reclaim it in a way. Yeah. It's like, why has it gone so far and onto that? So I started doing that. I thought that was cool. And then I started, putting my DJ clips up, and then I started putting the production stuff up. But at that point, there wasn't that much people on there. So I think, not to say I'm an innovator, but like because I was early on it, I got a bit of a following, and like the TikTok people, like I remember the head of music of TikTok was like, we did some interview. He's like, you're actually one of my favorite TikTok accounts.
What?
And I was like, what?
That's huge.
Do you know what I mean? And he's called that. But then the Ed Sheeran thing moment, I started getting a few moments. Like the Beyonce remix blew up. Then the Ed Sheeran thing blew up. Ed Sheeran, I got a whole release.
Yeah, we need to talk about this quickly. So you made a remix just because you remix a lot of songs, current and old school. Yeah. And Ed Sheeran saw it on TikTok and basically, like, what is the word?
Duetted it. Yeah. Oh, this is sick. And then that was amazing because I was just like, we did the remix, and then like someone like messaged me like, he was like, who's in the industry? He was like, this is cool. I'm gonna send it to like the team. I was like, okay. Cool. And then next thing I know, he duetted it, and then like the next day after that, Greg James played the TikTok, not like just for TikTok audio on Radio 1 twice, and then it was just all I was like, what is going on? Do you know what I mean? He played a TikTok on the biggest, most listened to like radio show in the country. So I was like, TikTok is amazing. Yeah. Because it's like the speeds and like the eyeballs. You're not getting it anywhere else. And also, Instagram's so dead. It's so showy. And it's like this. I love the freedom. Like, my friends aren't on TikTok. So I can put up anything. I'm not like, what my friend's going to see if they see that. You can be funny. You can be silly, whatever. Entertain, make someone laugh, or show them something new. That's what I think on TikTok. If you do one of those three things, you're gonna go. So yeah, and then Ed Sheeran and the release happened from it. So I loved it. And then TikTok asked me to be their DJ from their new show that they're forming. So I was like, all these things have started happening from TikTok. So now I just focus on it.
That's the way to do it. And you also do things like, because you have this wealth of knowledge and this wealth of music, you also do things of like, songs you might not have heard of. Yeah. I love that. You've got almost like different series that you do on your TikToks.
Yeah.
I just think work so well for you.
Different, like, again, it's just like, okay, so this is like a station. It's like, what different channels or shows are we gonna like post? So I think it's like, I do have loads of ideas, but and you might know it, people know it. This consistency is so hard because you have an idea like that. Songs you might have heard of. That's a great idea, but I stopped. The last couple of months, I haven't been able to do it that much just because I've been doing other stuff. Like it's so hard to keep consistent because it's like I can do it sometimes. I'm like, okay, this week I'm just gonna bang out content, and then you can get really on it. But then other times you just don't feel like putting a camera on your face. Well, I don't. Camera on your face and like
and doing it.
That's why you do it. You could be on.
I mean, yeah. I am on TikTok. I'm starting to do more real life things on there though. Yeah. So in terms of collaborations, obviously, like you've worked with grime artists. You've worked with technically, I think you've worked with Ed Sheeran. That is working with Ed Sheeran essentially. Craig David. These collabs, like, how do they come about? Do they hear from you? Do you send it to them, or is it just a mixture?
Everything is so random. Everything is so random. Like there's no. I mean, the Craig David one. For example, one was a remix, so you just get sent the stems and it's fine. The other track was with Big Nasty and Craig David. So we had got in the studio with Big Nasty, played him a beat, he loved it, he put 2 verses down. Joe took it home, he was like, I think it needs a chorus. I'm going to like demo a chorus and things of what it kind of like should be like, and then like we can go get someone on it. So he demoed this chorus. Big Nasty heard it and was like, I don't want something like that, I want that.
Oh wow.
And we're like, okay, Joe hasn't really sung back in 8 years. He's like, that? You sure? He's like, yeah, I want that. He's like, okay. So that goes out, and then a couple weeks later, he's like, yo, can you send that beat? I'm in the studio with Craig David. And we're like, what? And then Craig David is like ad-libbing on Joe. It's so
what?
funny.
So it's actually Joe's voice?
Yeah, Joe's voice on there. Then Craig's on there doing another part of it, and then he's like, the chorus, he's like, duh, duh, duh. I was just like, how are you singing with Craig David right now? This is mental. So that, do you know what I mean? I haven't met Craig David. I met him once in like an IB or something, but those sessions didn't happen. It was just like we sent the beat. Big Nasty was the kind of like go between like, on that one, and then the other one was like a remix. So for that, sometimes you get in the studio, say with Gets, he came down, laid his verse, so professional. P Money, we do that a lot. Get in the studio. Other people, you just send it out and they've got their own studios. They just send it back to you. So it's just like it completely changes.
I'm not sure what artist it was, but didn't you have a track released recently that you made 4 years ago?
Yeah.
So tell me about this.
So One Asen. Love One Asen. So yeah, 4 years ago, One Asen was like, kind of blowing up, and I was like, this guy's so sick. I'd love to get him on some like different kind of beats from what he's doing at the moment, because at that moment the Afro swing thing was very in. I was like, if we could just like do something a little bit with that kind of vibe, but maybe a little bit garagey or whatever. Anyway, so we made about 3 beats for him. I think it was 3 beats. Yeah. But then so I said, wrote an email, I was like, hey, we're STAR.ONE, we do this, I love your stuff, blah, 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 blah. Looking back, it was a bit cringy email. And then so sent us like so I made these beats specifically, like sending out 3 links, and I was like, but here's another a beat pack as well. And we always do that, send out beat packs all the time. Didn't get back, cool, just, yeah, he does his thing. And then literally in February, he replied to that email. I was like, yo, guys, no, it's been 3 years. It was 4 3 months, 3 years and 10 months. And but I've got a banger to one of these tracks. Like, I was like, is it still available or something? And I was just like, what? Yeah, listen back to the beat. I was like, all right, it's called OA UKG, so it's One Asen UKG. So yeah, we made it for him, and then he sent us like a video. It was him, JME in the studio vibing out to it, and then he's like, cool, can you send us the stems? We sent him the stems, got it mixed, and then now it's out in the world. It's on his mixtape, first track of his mixtape. He just shot the video for it. The video's coming out, depending on when this is. It might be already out by the time of this podcast. Called Are You Tired, featuring Murky Ace and JME.
Oh wow!
Something like that.
Just happen like that.
It's a weird one because within that time, obviously, I think sometimes you question yourself. Am I good enough? Are these beats good enough? Or why are people not jumping on? But sometimes it's just like, it's timing, isn't it?
It's timing.
Because 4 years ago, we were good enough to get this beat in 2023. So it's like, you just got to have that confidence and like self-belief and patience, obviously, because it can take a long time. Even the track we got out now with Bugsy, that we started that in lockdown.
What?
Yeah, Binky decided in lockdown, saying it to us, it's taken 2 years, about 2 years to get that over the line.
And then, so within them 2 years, you don't make any money from it? Like nothing?
No.
So that's like the producer side of it, but you also get DJ and residencies, right? So you did a residency at XOYO with Mike Skinner.
Well, Mike had a residency, so he had like a month-long thing, but and
he brought you in.
Mike, I don't know. Listen, when did we meet Mike? We met Mike at like a through Tonga, which is like a thing with like like a club night, and for some reason he loves us, and obviously we love him, and he's just given us again. We have the same agent for a while, so we did all the same bookings.
Okay.
And he was hosting for us, and then he started because it would be like STAR.ONE, then Mike Skinner. So now he hosts Mike Skinner. It's just like a family affair now.
Yeah.
He brings us in. So for that, he was like, "Oh, there's like all night. There's one night which is going to be all night Mike Skinner, but I just want to do it with you." So then me and Mike just went back to back just all night long. It was so funny because I had some friends from school. And they're like, "Can't believe you're there with Mike Skinner." Like, because like,
I came.
Oh yeah.
I came.
That was great, man, wasn't it?
And I was like literally like right, like kind of like to the side of the decks and was like, I can't believe Mike Skinner's there.
It was
Like,
a great night.
it was a great night, and it was so good. I think that was the first time I'd seen you properly live. I think, and I was just like, you know, I know you're talented, but I was literally overwhelmed.
Aww.
I was literally like, this is just it's different DJing than what you see when you go to, no offense, Box Park or like places like that. Do you know what I mean? I know you DJ at Box Park as well, but it was just a different level. It felt like a real club night, a real atmosphere, just like something totally different.
Thank you. That's what I take pride in. Like, yeah, that's what I try to give. So, yeah. And to do it with Mike is just amazing. Like that. Yeah. Sometimes like now it feels normal because I'm like, oh yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
But, like sometimes I'm like, that's Mike Skinner.
Yeah.
I used to listen to growing up, and like So like those having like the stamp of approval from Mike was amazing, and also from Ed, because when you're talking about that remix, whatever numbers did is kind of whatever. Like having a stamp of approval from the biggest artist in the world, like You're Sick, was just amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like for confidence, because now you just walk different. Like, oh, I am meant to be.
Yeah. It kind of almost it validates, doesn't it, as well? Like, and also all the hard work you've put in all over the years. It's like, this is why we do it, for this moment.
Exactly.
So, do you have like, what does it feel like? Do you have a I made it moment? Have you had one of those? Or do you ever get them? Like, is that a thing, or is it just like, it's every project is like you take pride in and you take something from it?
I think I think with music it's always going to be ups and downs. So like, I don't know. I still don't think I've made it. I think when I have for some reason, like having a top 40 is just on my list. I think when I have a top 40, I'll just be happy, and then anything else is anything else. I mean, we're incredibly lucky that I call music our profession, because that is actually such a hard thing to do, to just like make a living off music.
Yeah.
And like I think as you were saying, like with DJ residencies and like producers and all that stuff, like having the DJing side is a blessing, because you can just go and do gigs and get that money in, and then obviously we also do a lot of music for adverts. So I don't know.
Okay.
IKEA advert a few years ago, they were talking.
Yeah.
That was us with D-Double. We won an award for that, and that is actually where a lot of money is. And no one really talks about that, but like for us, that's probably like our main like income. It's like that's a solid thing, and then allows us to go make whatever music you're doing. Because what I see with a lot of producers, a lot of artists, they're like in the studio and they're like, "Gotta make a hit."
Yeah.
The pressure to go in, like we all get into music because we love music and just want to have fun and do it. But like when you go in, like gotta make a hit, like I've been there, had that, and when I was probably with Positiva in lockdown, you're trying to make happy dancing music to have a hit, but you're sat in your house and not feeling that happy, like it's not good. Now we just go into sessions and be like, talk, what do you want to do? And then there's like, okay, let's make a track about what you said about that random thing, because it's just like so much fun. Yeah. And if you're not having fun with it, it's long. So that we've been able to like make music for adverts and get like that kind of like money, and then go into studio sessions and not have this pressure of like, got to make this track, has to make money, is like, it's quite freeing. And that's the thing when you say made it, it's just like making music is the making it.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got to pay bills and do all this other kind of stuff, but to just come in and do this as a job, this is a Friday and we're just sitting here like, people could do it work. I
that's when you know.
I'm thankful for
yeah.
Grateful, so but so yeah, no like I made it thing, but the validation is sometimes needed, because when you have doubt, it can be like crippling. Not crippling, but like, you're like, should I be in this? Should I be looking for a plan B? But there's no real plan B. So. Is
there any artists that you still are yet to collab with, like that you want to collab with? Have you got any names in the hat that you're like, it's got to be these, or
it's not,
or I'd like to?
Yeah, I mean, the I like to thing is like, we're saying this the other day, is like, I feel like with UK Garage, and that's kind of what we're focusing on now in the moment, I think it's going to have a real moment internationally. I think what you're seeing with like Pink Panthers and Ice Spice, I was like, you basically got this kind of like UK Garage / Jersey club track in the hot Billboard charts. So I was thinking, like, we shouldn't limit ourselves to like, I think it'll be a worldwide thing. I think we'd be able to actually do it with anyone. So Yeah. If Ed Sheeran wants to do an original track, that would be great. What about like, why not Justin Bieber? Why not Stormzy? Why not like anyone you can think of? Like, why not?
Why
trying
not?
Not to like limit it to whatever. But because like, you know, in the UK we've hit most of the people. Not most. Yeah, there's always people coming through. Yeah. But like of those legacy artists, you know, we work with Stormzy, we work with Get, so it's like work with P Money. So then. Yeah, it's like where to take it next, and just keep working with the artists who are coming up, because obviously that's exciting. It feels exciting when you get those new artists, and just take it worldwide, because why not?
And you've got an event coming up soon with P Money. What is this?
Yeah. This is P Money's mixtape launch, Money Over Everyone and he's been nice enough to invite us down to play at Fabric for his that launch night, which is going to be an amazing night. I haven't played at Fabric for so many years. It's like probably our favourite club.
Yeah, I love Fabric.
Yeah, it's great. So July, 7th, is it? I can't remember.
Yeah, I feel like it's early July. That's why I wanted to say it, because I was like, this will be out by then. So promote it, give it a little promote.
Yeah.
Where can we find you on socials?
Everything is at STAR.ONE UK, STARONE UK. Yeah, so TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, everything.
And if you were to give someone advice that wants to get into the industry, DJing, producing, do you have any advice for them?
DJing, producing, I've got a few.
Just like some overall...
production-wise is like, actually, YouTube is just God. Like, you can learn everything on YouTube. You don't even have to go to uni. If you're like an 18-year-old, you're like, do you know what? I want to be a music producer. Don't go to uni. Just go to the University of YouTube and just spend 4 or 5 hours on that every day. You can do it. Like, all the knowledge is there. I remember DJing wise, it's like, be different, because like I say, there's so many average DJs playing the same stuff. So what's going to make you different? Is it the music you play is going to be different? Is it the skill set you're going to do it? How are you going to approach it in a different way? Because we don't need any more mediocre DJs. So just like,
preach.
I'm happy to, yeah.
Preach. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
No, thanks for coming on. I'm also coming to Fabric, by the way. Like, invite me, I'm coming. But yeah, no, thanks for coming on. I think, yeah.